Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we have something truly unique on our hands.
Definitely unique.
Our listener, the learner, has sent us this incredible stack of sources. It's a unified theory of everything from a writer named Su Feng, and it aims to bridge, modern quantum mechanics with ancient Eastern philosophy.
And it really goes for it. We're talking Taoism, Buddhism, and relativity all rolled into one. The sources map out the entire cosmos, from origin to structure.
But the core claim, the thing that holds it all together, is that nothing is random. Everything, even the material world, has this inherent governing order, a law.
Right. So our mission today isn't just to read a philosophy, it's to actually unpack the mechanism. How does this creation sequence work? How does it build this dual universe?
And most importantly, how do you, the listener, apply these cosmic laws to your own life, to your own experience of time and space?
I love the starting point, too. The sources draw this parallel to Dmitri Mendeleyev's periodic table.
Oh, yeah, that was brilliant.
Mendeleev predicted elements before they were even discovered, right? Their properties, their atomic weight. And the analogy here is that the universe is just like that. It's pre-programmed. What we see as chaos is really just us not being able to read the cosmic table yet.
That sets a really high bar. It's a fascinating frame. So, okay, let's dig into this creation sequence. The source says this was known like 6,000 years ago by the ancestors of the Dragon Nation.
Yeah, drawing from the river diagram and the Book of Changes. And it all begins with, well, with nothing. The state of absolute non-existence. The primordial soup. It's called Wuji.
And Wuji it's a real philosophical head-scratcher.
It really is. It's pre-existence, defined only by what it isn't. I mean, think about it. Neither time nor space. Neither big nor small, null nor true.
So it's not empty. It's potential.
Exactly. The text calls it shapeless and visionary. It contains the blueprint for everything. It's not empty space. It's a kind of pregnant non-existence.
Okay, but if it's neither big nor small, how are we supposed to even conceptualize that? The lack of scale is tricky.
The source has this great analogy for it from Journey to the West. Remember the gold symbol that trapped the Monkey King?
Vaguely, yeah.
Well, the space inside that symbol was, at the same time, extremely large to the Monkey King, but also extremely small. Its size was totally dependent on the matter, the Monkey King himself, that was inside it.
Ah, so space isn't a container. It's a byproduct of matter.
You got it. If the particles disappear, the space they were in just vanishes with them.
Which has huge implications for time.
Huge. Time only exists because things move. In Wuji, there's no matter, no motion, so there's simply no time. The source makes it really simple, comparing two pairs, one out in the open and one in a fridge.
Right, the one in the fridge where all the cellular motion is slowed way down, it experiences time differently.
Yeah.
Slower.
Exactly. That relativity is the key. And it brings us to the big leap. How do we get from this shapeless potential to, well, to reality?
This is Wuji generates Taiji.
This is the moment order is born from chaos. The idea is that the intangible random energy in Wuji just accidentally forms a specific ordered pattern around a single point.
Like fog suddenly condensing into a crystal.
That's a great way to put it. The source calls it a potential power arrow or a tornado. And that ordered structure, that is Taiji. It's the one, the amorphous whole, the unity before opposites, the greatest creator.
And the birth of order has a critical consequence, right?
It does. The source claims that once that ordered structure is complete, consciousness comes into being. Order is the foundation of consciousness.
And consciousness is the engine of creation.
This Taiji, this singular consciousness, then initiates the split, which leads us to Taiji creates the two polarities.
This is where duality comes from. Everything we know is a demonstration of this split. None versus existence, yin and yang, tangible versus intangible.
It's fundamental. The moment the greatest creator's consciousness is born, these two polarities emerge. And that immediately kicks off celestial movement, it defines space, and it's the actual start of time as we know it.
And from there, it just expands. The two polarities create the four directions.
North, south, east, west.
Or
life, growth, decline, death.
Which create the 8 trigrams, and then finally the 64 trigrams.
And you can think of the 64 trigrams as like the universe's operating system. The source says they correspond to 64 fundamental factors containing all the heaven's secrets. Every cycle of birth and death is just a permutation of these 64 factors. It's the fixed code beneath all the apparent chaos.
So we've gone from genesis to structure. You mentioned earlier that the universe is stable because its total energy is 0. How does that work?
It's all about perfect balance. It's a massive zero-sum game of matter and antimatter, positive and negative energies all canceling each other out. That's what creates stability.
So if that balance was lost, say if you only had gravity without a repulsive
The
force?
whole thing would just disappear
Ah,
instantly.
wow. Okay, so that stability dictates the structure. The universe isn't just one big thing. It's made of lots of smaller universes, like swirls.
Exactly. And our small universe, the Earth universe, isn't a sphere. It's described as a saucer-shaped Taiji oval. Imagine two meshing revolvers of yin and yang energy.
And that specific shape controls how things move.
It does. Maximum speed is at the short axis of the oval, and there are these periodic halts or near halts at the long axis. And those halts are fascinating.
Because they connect to life and death.
Right. A halt is like a temporary death for the physical body, but it's the exact moment the spiritual body can transition into a new space-time. Death is just a part of the machinery of this Taiji oval.
Which brings us to the main split in the model. The positive universe versus the negative universe.
The positive universe is the easy part. It's the physical world, everything we can measure with science.
Yeah.
Matter, dark matter, anything made of elementary particles.
Okay, so the negative universe, or the anti-world. We need to be careful with the term antimatter here, right? It's not the particle physics definition.
Not at all. It's a very specific philosophical use of the term. In these sources, antimatter means energies that do not exist in the form of elementary particles.
So things like time, space, spirit, consciousness, even God and angels, they're all classified as these non-particle energies.
Correct. They're intangible supermatters. We can't measure them,
Hmm.
but they deeply affect the material world. And here's the key relationship. The material, positive world is just a reflection, an image of the anti-world.
So the negative world is the eternal reality, and our world is just cycling through birth and death based on it.
Exactly. And that leads to the law of the unity of opposites. Everything needs its opposite to exist. Life needs death, firmness needs emptiness.
And science needs what we call superstition.
Yes, that's a huge point in the text. The idea is that universal movement depends on these opposing forces, action and reaction. So science and superstitious things are seen as two opposing energy groups that actually drive progress forward.
So one can't exist without the other. You can't eliminate one.
Never. The source argues that the more science develops, the more active these superstitious phenomena will become, because science will eventually create the framework to prove they're real, to see them as super science,
They feed each other.
constantly, to maintain that zero-sum balance of knowledge.
Okay, let's bring this down to the personal level. Let's talk about time. In this framework, time isn't antimatter. It only exists in the material world.
And it's just a recorder of motion, which means it's incredibly variable. It is not some universal constant. It changes with speed, location, mass, even the climate you're in. It's elastic.
We see that with the pear in the fridge example, or, the classic sci-fi trope of the astronaut who travels at high speed and comes back young while everyone else is old.
But that's not just a trope here. The idea is that their personal day was genuinely compressed compared to the 24-hour standard. And this elasticity is crucial for understanding the time of life.
Right, so our flesh body is stuck on this vertical timeline. Past, present, future. Birth, death.
But our spiritual body, since it's classified as antimatter energy, it isn't constrained by that. Its time is horizontal. It moves along a conceptual z-axis.
So when the physical body dies, the spiritual body doesn't just end, it transitions. It moves along that horizontal axis to a new eternal time-space.
Which completely changes the goal of life, doesn't it? The point isn't to get more material stuff. The point is to surmount time.
And how do you do that while you're still here?
Two paths. The lower level path is just to reduce your motion, live simply, peacefully, slow down. This slows the rate at which time is recorded on your body, so you live longer.
But there's a higher method.
Yes, using antimatter energy, using your spirit, your consciousness, your belief. If you live primarily in that world, the world of pure consciousness, it has no real impact on you.
This is that concept of going against the time.
That's the advanced stuff. Imagine time as a train moving forward. This technique is about mentally running backward on that train, faster than the train itself is moving.
So you could stop aging or even become younger, conceptually.
Exactly. The speed isn't physical, it's the speed of your consciousness. You're focusing your energy upstream against the flow of material reality. It's a total shift in perspective.
Okay, let's do the same for space. Like time, it's defined by movement and location for both the positive and negative spaces.
And this negative space, the anti-world space, is where things get really interesting. The dream world, for example, it leads to this fractal idea of the universe. The source quotes Sakyamuni. In a tiny dust, there are many limitless worlds.
Worlds within worlds, infinitely.
And if you can move through that negative universe, you're using negative universe speed, which is just the speed of thought.
Like when you're at the Antarctic workstation and think of home, you're there instantly.
The source speculates it could be something like 1 light-year per second. It's incredibly fast. And what that means for us is that space is totally flexible. It can be compressed, expanded, all based on your consciousness.
The really actionable insight here is how different spaces actually change us.
Fundamentally, space dictates the laws of life. Plants at high altitudes have shorter lives. People in frigid zones have different bodies and personalities than people in the tropics. If you stay in one space for too long, all your characteristics, good and bad, they solidify.
So staying put is actually a spiritual danger.
It is. Stagnation is decay. So the use of space has to be an active, conscious process. You have to learn to use your mind to compress and expand it.
What's a simple example of that? Compressing space with your mind.
Think of a close friend who is thousands of miles away, but they feel near. In your heart, that distance has been compressed by your energy. And the opposite is true. Someone you dislike can be standing right next to you, but you create this vast distance with your consciousness. They feel miles away.
So the ultimate goal is to surmount the space.
Yes. You extend your thoughts toward a higher level space, the Elysium world, the 1,000-year world. You focus on it, and you compress the distance, you make it feel closer. At the same time, you expand the distance to the things you want to leave behind, like the mundane world. It's intentional spiritual navigation.
This brings it all back home, back to our own consciousness. The sources say we entered a new epoch back on January 1st, 2018.
Yeah, an epoch defined by a unification of thought, belief, religion, all driven by this understanding that hell, earth, and heaven are one and connected.
They aren't different places.
Not at all. They're distinguished by an abstract life temperature, a vibrational frequency.
I love that framework. It's so direct. So the cold, cruel, selfish people, they vibrate at a low frequency. That's the frigid zone. That's hell.
Then you have the lukewarm, indifferent people in the temperate zone, that's earth. And then people full of vitality and warmth, the contributors, they ascend to the tropics, heaven.
Then the texts actually defend the existence of hell, logically.
They do, with 8 deductions. The big ones are the law of debt balance. Evildoers have to be punished to maintain justice. And the law of the unity of opposites. You can't have heaven's yang without hell's yin. One defines the other.
So the final prescription, the way to raise our own life temperature, is through action. We have to avoid stagnation and embrace hybridization.
The source is really clear on this. For total health, physical, mental, spiritual, and to avoid these illnesses of consciousness, you have to constantly broaden your experiences.
So scientists should study religion, religious people should engage with science, Buddhists learn from Muslims, and so on.
It's all about cross-pollination to keep the spirit flexible. And crucially, it also means physically moving. You have to change your living space, your social group, every few years.
To avoid that stagnation that leads to decline.
Exactly. You have to keep moving to ascend to a higher level space of life.
So we've gone from Wuji, the absolute nothing, through this dual reality, and learned that our own consciousness is the key to manipulating time and space.
We've learned that Earth is just a hotel, and the universe is our home. And that the 10,000-year world isn't light years away. In consciousness, it's just one step.
So if the spiritual body moves along that horizontal z-axis, and the distance to these higher worlds can be compressed by your own consciousness right now, what is that next highest level space you are working to bring closer? And maybe more importantly, which way is your internal life temperature guiding you? Towards the tropics or the frigid zone? Something to think about until the next deep dive.